group of 7, including me, 6 panelists, and me, your moderator, Indira Nityananda. I'm not going to introduce the panelists right away to you, but I'll very quickly just tell you how we are going to take the next 45, 50 minutes. After this little short introduction that I've done about what we intend to talk about, let me tell you that each one of our panelists will spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about a particular quotient. That is, we begin with the oldest, which is IQ, and move on till AQ. Once that is done, one of our panelists, Rajesh Bhai, will sort of link all the 4 and tell us how they are interrelated and how each one of us needs to look at all 4 and not each one separately. They can't exist in a vacuum. Once Rajesh Bhai has done that, we'll have a kind of discussion among the panelists. All this while, my dear viewers, listeners, you are going to be silent, you're going to be listening. Once the discussion is over, we will throw it open to the listeners. That is, we will ask you to raise your questions. But you don't have to wait till then. Please put your questions on the chat box, even as we are speaking, because probably that's when the questions will come to your minds, and you don't have to keep it till the end of the show, the end of the talk. So please put down your questions on the chat box, and one of us panelists will have them ready so that once the discussion is over, we can move on to the questions. You will not be asking your questions then, but one of the panelists will raise a question on your behalf and ask our panelists to answer them. I hope that's clear, both to the panelists and our viewers. So let's get down to IQ to AQ. We have to begin with IQ because my generation, when we were in college, when we were in school, and some of my panelists here who are nearer me in age will agree, it was so important to have our IQ test. And then we had this great group called the Mensa. Somebody told us, Einstein had an IQ of 160, and we were saying, can we ever reach that? And Mensa, I'm not sure if people still talk about the Mensa, but the Mensa was a group of people with the highest IQ. And it was believed then that in every country, people of that country, the population of that country, the highest 2% could become members of the Mensa. Can you imagine 1.5 billion, our population, and to be one of the 2% on the top? My God, how exciting that would be. So, well, we're going to be talking about all that and much more with our own life experiences. So I'm going to begin asking one of our panelists, Siddharth. Siddharth is one of the youngest probably among the panelists. And when I asked him to describe himself, he said he was a scientist, musician, techie. Quite a combination. And Siddharth will begin by talking about IQ, intelligent quotient. Siddharth, over to you.
Hello, everyone. So I'll be talking about IQ a little bit, just a brief introduction of it. So what exactly is IQ? The full form of IQ is obviously, we all know, intelligence quotient. So it basically is a measure of your ability to reason and solve problems. It essentially reflects how well you did on a specific test as compared to other people of your own age group or of a certain group that is formed. While tests like this may vary, the average IQ on many tests is about 100, and 68% of scores lie somewhere between 85 and 115. Only 2.5% of people score above 130 or below 75. While IQ can be a predictor of things such as academic success, but experts caution that it is not necessarily a guarantee of life success. Sometimes people with very high IQ do not fare so well in life, while those with average IQs may thrive. So the merits and the criticism of IQ is very varied, and there are many studies on this which prove or disprove certain aspects of IQ and its application. But today, a lot of job applications, a lot of positions, a lot of even university applications require to submit you to submit your IQ score. So that is the importance of IQ today. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. Interestingly, when we, as what shall I say, as not white, as not developed, as not, a number of things that we can use to describe our country. Sometimes we believe that these tests, we'll take it further in the discussion, but believe that these tests are actually made for the WASP, WASP. Some of you panelists and listeners, viewers would be aware of the WASP concept, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male. It is geared for them. So maybe something like intuition, which plays a very important role in many of the decisions in races like the Asian races, maybe, do not figure in IQ. Well, that's another story we'll talk about later. So from IQ, we moved on, saying that intelligence alone cannot be a test, and therefore came the concept of EQ. E is emotional quotient. Can we all live only by our heads? No, we need our hearts too. And so EQ appeared on the scene, maybe about 40 years ago, maybe about 50 years ago. I'm not really giving you a chronology. But we have Sudeshna, who is a great lover. A lover of what? A lover of music, a lover of films, and a lover of food. Who else can better describe EQ to us? So Sudeshna, will you take us into EQ?
Thank you so much, Indiraji. A child's plea to an adult. Will you, when I ask you to listen and you start giving advice, you have not done what I have said. When I ask you to listen and you start telling me why I should not feel the way I feel, you are invalidating me. When I ask you to listen and you try to solve my problems, I feel underestimated. When I asked you to listen and you accept the way I feel, I do not need to spend time and energy defending me to convince you. And when I ask you to listen, I do not need your advice. What I need actually is your support, your trust, and encouragement. What you think are irrational feelings will make a lot of sense when you listen to me. So this is how a child wants a parent or an adult, a teacher to listen. Good evening, all. It is really lovely to have you all today on the first webinar of Visamo. I was introduced to EQ while reading a book by Eric Segal, Doctors. In his pre-admission interview time, Barney Livingston responded to the panelists saying that I'm aware of myself. And believe me, at that time, I just didn't understand, or rather I didn't internalize what self-awareness actually means. The term, however, stayed tucked in a corner of my mind. I went through the experience of growing up, motherhood, went through the joys of achievements, of sorrows in both personal and professional life. Still, I did not wake up to EQ. 40 years went by. My professional journey brought me to Visamo, the shelter home for underprivileged children. And this opened doors to EQ. From the pages of Doctors, this became real. From the knowledge realm to real life, action level. I started learning about how to identify feelings, acknowledge them, and how to go about them. I understood the importance of emotions, how our bodies communicated with us, and how it told others what we need. I learned that emotions helped us to connect, to unite, and it's important. In fact, a key point for making good decisions. I learned that at the source of majority of the problems at the schools or at homes or at our organization lies unmet emotional needs. And an emotional wound cannot be healed by logic. First, we have to accept the feelings, and then we have to address the behavior. So several things I remember now is that everyone prefers to feel needed, important, useful, successful, proud, and respected. When our emotional needs are satisfied, we feel better. And when we feel better, we are far more productive, motivated, creative, collaborative, flexible, empathetic, accepting, and patient. So I close my talk right now here with these words. We will come back to understand the other aspects of EQ later on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sudeshna. Yes, as we move on in this webinar, we're also going to talk about what we have learned. Because after all, theory can only be in books. But when the human mind applies it to our own lives, that's when things really begin to happen. So IQ and EQ, we are probably looking at individuals. The third Q that we are going to be looking at now is what is called SQ. How do these two work in society? In a group, when I talk about society, in a group, whether it's a family, whether it's peers, whether it's friends. To talk about that, I would like to invite Sonal Ben, who is a writer, translator, columnist. She is going to talk about a lot of things that she has learned about SQ in this journey of hers as a writer, as a translator. SQ has another meaning also. The S has another meaning, which probably Sonal Ben will touch upon when she talks to us about SQ. Sonal Ben, it's all you now.
Thank you, Indira Ben. It's so nice to be on a webinar for the first time. And hello, everyone. As Indira Ben introduced me, I am a writer and I write in Gujarati. We all know that a well-rounded person should have good IQ, good SQ, good EQ, and also good AQ. And we are all going to know about all these things. And I am going to throw a little more light on SQ, which you can say as social intelligence, as well as social, as well as spiritual intelligence. I would like to give a a real life example, which really happened with me. This is a long time ago when I had to go to airport to
I think there are some connectivity issues.
સોફ્ટવેર કરી હતી અને એ કંપની એ વખતે સુવર્ણકાળમાં હતી. ઇન્ફોસિસ કંપની આજે પણ ખૂબ જાણીતી છે, પણ કદાચ ભારતમાં સોફ્ટવેરનું જે રિવોલ્યુશન આવ્યું, ક્રાંતિ આવી, તે આ કંપનીને કારણે આવી હતી. અને એના નારાયણ મૂર્તિ.
Can a technician help us?
Actually, it is an
જેવી
issue
રિસ્પેક્ટ અને વ્યક્તિ એકલા વખત ઓફિસથી મને જ મળ્યો કે તેઓ ફ્લાવર્સ એક્સેપ્ટ કરે તો
Sonal Ben,
am I audible?
તમારે ત્યાં જાય છે આવે છે.
Okay, I'll just go to a better place. Can you take me after few minutes?
No, okay, Sonal Ben, we'll do that. Please,
After 2 minutes.
Yeah, please rearrange yourself. Okay. As Sonal Ben is getting into the
Yeah,
tech,
sure. Thank
which we can't do without, and which creates problems for us. Anyway, we will move on to the next, which is AQ. Now, AQ is very interesting because in these days of pandemic, something that is really, really troubling us is the kind of mental problems that people are having. Are we all geared to face the unexpected in life? We really don't know till we come across it. And that is why suicides are so troubling. The well-known, not the well-known, the poor, the rich, the educated, the uneducated, the male, the female. It looks like everybody in every class, every gender, every caste, every group is somehow showing that they are not resilient enough. So that's what AQ is all about. But I shouldn't be talking about it because we've got two of our panelists, very learned panelists who are going to tell us a lot about their life experiences in facing AQ. So we have two of them talking about AQ. Our first columnist is Naina Shah, Dr. Naina Shah, who is a consultant trainer, but would like to remind us that finally, she's an artist of art. We also have Beena Ramani. I'll introduce both of them and they'll speak one after the other. Beena Ramani is a nature lover. She's a singer. She's a painter, but her profession is far away from all these arts. So can I begin? Can I ask Naina to begin? And then Beena will take over. As we've been doing so far, 2 to 3 minutes each one of you. Tell us what AQ is all about. Naina Ben, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Indira Ben. Thank you so much for inviting me to a very interesting seminar. I grabbed the topic of AQ before everybody else grabbed because I felt that is the most exciting, most interesting and unexplored territory so far in our own mental and emotional maps. We all are so familiar with IQ, EQ, SQ, all that, but AQ is some completely very, very new even to me. So I really jumped at it and said, I would like to take up AQ because I always like to do things which are a little more challenging, little more which is not explored. So thank you for giving me this topic. Basically, if I were to talk about what is AQ, AQ is your ability, your mental and emotional ability to deal with difficult situations in life, challenging situations in life. And it was discovered by Souls, who was a psychologist and a behavioral trainer in 97. And he said that we have to move beyond IQ, EQ, it's an SQ, because in times of today, what is required is, are we ready to deal with the changing times? Are we equipped enough? Are we capable enough to really deal with difficult times and changing times of today? If I were to really even talk of the corona epidemic that is prevailing right now, are we equipped to deal with this pandemic or we all of us buckle down under pressure? There are examples of suicides, depression, mental health problems amongst the youth, amongst adults, not only the youth. Even adults have so much of mental health problems. People staying in lockdowns. How are they really able to cope? Are they equipped? Are they able to cope with difficult situations and challenging situations in their day-to-day context? Because that is also required. Okay, we don't only require good IQ, good EQ, and good SQ, but AQ is also our survival instinct. Are we surviving? Are we living? Or are we dying under pressure that we are unable to cope with? So I will end over here, and then after the discussion, I will take on further. Thank you.
Beena Ben, would you like to continue with the AQ, please?
Myself.
Beena Ben?
Thank you, Indra. Thank you, Indra. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So as Naina has been kind enough to tell you about AQ, I'm going to talk to you about some examples which elaborate this strength to face adversities in life. And I want to give examples from my own life, which I hope you will find useful and motivating. So I'm a great believer of using adverse times positively and to my advantage. So in adverse times, I do not feel sorry for myself. And the first thing I tell to me is, I'm not the first or the only person facing these problems. Many have faced this and overcome this. Ups and downs are a part of everyone's life. Second thing I tell myself is that this too will pass. It is temporary and better days will come. And the last thing I do is I introspect. How can I come out of this circumstance stronger than before? What advantage can I take from this adversity? So I'll on a professional front, I'll share something with you. So I was a single parent working at a big pharma firm for about 10 years. And the last 3 years of those 10 years, I was executive director of the firm. I resigned because I had disputes with the owner regarding the management style. And suddenly I had no income. This was in 1998. From a salary of 20 lakhs a month, my income dropped to less than 1 lakh a month. So I had just 8,000 rupees monthly deposit interests coming to me. I remember going shopping with my 12-year-old daughter. When we saw something nice, then we discussed, can we live without this or not? If the answer was yes, we can live without this, then we did not buy it. And we were able to live on 8,000 rupees a month. And we were so proud of ourselves and so very happy that we can do this. So it took me 2 years to explore and experiment and get established in my new business. But I used that time to teach my daughter to be able to reduce her wants and her needs to the bare minimum if needed. So I raised her AQ. This is rare. This is rare because there are so many of us who are afraid to take risk of changing jobs or careers, and we continue to live with job satisfaction and unhappily. But if you develop a high AQ, changes are possible to your advantage. If you have the strength to face adversity, you can take risks, personal and professional. I would take 2 more minutes to give a personal example of adversity in personal life. So I had a very bad marriage, but due to my 3 children and no savings, I was stuck. And I thought I cannot do anything. And then I heard a story. A mother tells her grown-up children, I suffered ill treatment all my life from your father only because of you. I suffered for your sake. And the grown-up children said, Mom, we would have respected you much more if instead of suffering, you had done something about it. This story influenced me so much. And then I fought for my dignity, my self-respect, which led to a divorce and separation of around 14 years from my sons. I started my career, but every minute of that period of my life was worth it because it was full of growth in strength, immense personality development, growth in my self-respect, growth in satisfaction, happiness. And today my children are so proud of me. The examples we set for our children give them strength to overcome adversities, to take risks, to fight for their happiness. It increases the AQ of all people who come in close contact with you. And always believe you are. Can I finish half a minute?
Yeah, please finish. Please finish.
Always believe you are special and God has planned great things for you. And you have to keep on putting up best efforts and his plans will be gradually revealed to you. Can I sing 2 lines?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
सुराह पे कांटे बिखरे अगर उस पे तो फिर भी चलना ही है शाम छुपा ले सूरज मगर रात को एक दिन ढलना ही है रुत ये टल जाएगी हिम्मत रंग लाएगी सुबह फिर आएगी हो ये हौसला कैसे रुके थैंक यू
आरज़ू कैसे रुके मंजिल मुश्किल तो क्या.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonal Ben, for joining us. Naina Ben, for introducing the concept of AQ, and Beena Ramani for taking us through certain personal experiences which prove the importance of AQ. We aren't done with the topic. We'll come back to you in the discussion because I think in today's climate, probably AQ is really, really important. Sonal Ben, after that little technical problem, is back with us. So can we go back to talking about SQ for a short while, Sonal Ben? You were talking about your meeting summary and we stopped. Yeah, so you could take on from there, please.
યા મારી વાર્તા જેવું થયું કે એકદમ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટિંગ જગ્યાએ મેં વાર્તા તમે બંધ કરી વાંચવાની, મેં કહેવાની બંધ કરી. હવે હું ફરીથી કહું છું એ વાત. આમ તો સિમ્પલ લેંગ્વેજમાં અમારા ગુજરાતીમાં એવું કહેવાય કે ભણેલા કરતા ગણેલો વધારે ડાયો કે ગણેલો વધારે સારો. હું સિમ્પલ લેંગ્વેજમાં કહું તો આ એસક્યુ એટલે ગણતર. ગણતરમાં બહુ સિમ્પલ વસ્તુ છે કે એવી એક વ્યક્તિ કે જેને કોની સાથે કયે સમયે કઈ રીતે કેટલી વાત કરવી અને ક્યાં ચૂપ રહેવું એ ખબર હોય. ધીસ ઇઝ ઇન અ વેરી સિમ્પલ ટર્મ હું ગુજરાતી ભાષામાં એસક્યુ નું જો વર્ણન કરું તો એ કહી શકાય. એ ઉપરાંત આ વ્યક્તિ એવી છે જેનો એસક્યુ હાઈ હોય તે સામેની વ્યક્તિની લાગણીને જલ્દી સમજી શકે છે. એ ઉપરાંત આ વ્યક્તિ જલ્દી વાદ વિવાદમાં નથી પડતી કોઈની સાથે, કારણ વગરના વાદ વિવાદથી દૂર રહે છે. એટલે જ્યારે હું વાત કરતી હતી મિસ્ટર નારાયણ મૂર્તિની, ત્યારે નારાયણ મૂર્તિ સાહેબને જ્યારે મારે એરપોર્ટ પર એકલા લેવા જવાનું આવ્યું ત્યારે મને બહુ જ અવઢવ થઈ હતી કે હું એમની સાથે શું વાત કરીશ, હું એમને ગ્રીટ કેવી રીતે કરીશ, કારણ કે ફ્લાવર્સ તો લઈ જવાના નહોતા, એમની ઓફિસમાંથી ના આવી હતી. એટલે એ વખતે હું શું બોલીશ એની વિચારમાં હતી. ત્યાં તો સામેથી એરપોર્ટની દરવાજામાંથી સાહેબ બહાર આવ્યા, આવીને સીધા મારી પાસે આવીને મને કહે છે કે અરે વાહ સોનલ, યુ હેવ લોસ્ટ સમ વેટ. અને મને એટલો બધો આનંદ થઈ ગયો કે આ માણસે એક જ મિનિટમાં મારું દિલ જીતી લીધું, મને કમ્ફર્ટેબલ કરી કાઢી અને એમણે મને એક સ્ત્રીને કેટલો બધો કોન્ફિડન્સ આપી દીધો. ભલે હું સહેજ પણ પાતળી નથી થઈ પહેલા કરતા, પણ આ એક જ વાક્ય બોલીને એમણે એક સ્ત્રીનું હૃદય જીતી લીધું. અને એ પછી ગાડીમાં અમે એરપોર્ટથી અમદાવાદ આવ્યા ત્યાં સુધી અમે સળંગ વાતો કરતા રહ્યા. અને મને એમની મહાનતાનો વધારે ખ્યાલ ત્યારે આવ્યો કે જ્યારે અમે બીજે દિવસે એક મીટિંગમાં ગયા હતા જ્યાં અમદાવાદના બહુ જ બધા સારા એવા ખમતીદાર આસામીઓ બેઠા હતા અને એમણે એક સારા કોઝ માટે ભંડોળ ભેગું કરવાની વાત હતી. તો એમણે કોઈની પાસે ડાયરેક્ટલી કઈ પૈસા ના માંગ્યા. છેલ્લે એક સરસ સંસ્કૃત શ્લોક કયો કે સતેષુ જાયતે શૂર સહસ્ત્રેષુ ચ પંડિત વક્તા દસ સહસ્ત્રેષુ દાતા ભવતી વાનવા. એટલે કે અર્થ એવો છે કે 100 માણસમાં તમને શૂરવીર માણસ બળવાન એકાદ મળી આવે. સતેષુ જાયતે શૂર સહસ્ત્રેષુ ચ પંડિત, હોશિયાર માણસ 1000માં એકાદ હોય અને 10,000 એક માણસ સારો વક્તા હોય, સારું બોલી શકે, પણ દાતા ભવતી વાનવા, કોઈને કંઈ આપી શકે, દાન કરી શકે તેવો માણસ લાખેણો હોય છે. ઇટ્સ રેર પર્સનાલિટી કે જે માણસ બીજાને પૈસા આપી શકે. અને તમે નહીં માનો એ દિવસે લાખો રૂપિયાનું ભંડોળ એ કોઝ માટે ફટોફટ એમની જોડી ભરાઈ ગઈ અને જે કોઝ માટે આવ્યા હતા એ કોઝ સરસ રીતે ફૂલફિલ થઈ શક્યું. એટલે મને લાગે છે કે એસક્યુ નો આથી મોટો સારો કોઈ એક્ઝામ્પલ હોઈ ના શકે. હવે આઈ થિંક આગળ કંઈક પ્રશ્ન હશે ત્યારે હું જવાબ આપીશ. થેન્ક યુ વેરી મચ.
Thank you so much. So we've looked at the 4 Qs. We need to remember that as human beings, all of us need all 4 of them, maybe not simultaneously at the same moment. So Rajesh Bhai will now link them together and tell us what it all is about. Rajesh Bhai is into social development. He's an activist in a big way, a nature lover, and an avid reader. I think once he begins speaking, all these parts of his personality, facets of his personality will become obvious. So Rajesh Bhai, can I invite you to take us through the combination of these 4 Qs?
Thank you, Indiraben. Probably I'm given the most difficult task of connecting the 4. Let me try and make an effort. I'm basically a practitioner. I'm not a theorist, but let me try and connect this 4 through whatever theories, sort of quote unquote theories I have come up with for today's presentation. Let me start with an English author, Augustus Hare's quote. It says that some people carry their hearts in their heads. Very many carry their heads in their hearts. The difficulty is to keep them both apart and yet functioning properly. So when we talk of IQ, EQ, SQ, and AQ, both these organs, scientifically as a rationalist, I would say they're organs functioning in two different ways, but figuratively speaking, brain represents your cognitive skills, your ability to comprehend, your ability to memorize things, etc. And the heart represents your emotional abilities. So basically, the IQ goes with the brain, and I think it is more a genetic ability or a genetic given rather than an acquired ability. It does get acquired as you go through training, go through schooling, etc. But the other three are more acquired than IQ. But all four are equally important in the life of human beings, and particularly children. Because I've worked a lot with children, and as Sudeshna also talked about her experience with children, it is very important that we invest in the right way and take the right approach with our children at schools and at the family level. In reality, unfortunately, what happens is we overemphasize IQ and underplay the three other intelligent quotients. And everybody thinks that a high IQ is required to be successful in life, but I think that's a big fallacy. It's not right, and I think the complete personality, a holistic person, is one who has all his intelligence in place and properly working. How does this reflect in our education? I think there are different subjects which can deal with the different intelligence. And unfortunately, we only emphasize on the subjects that deal with IQs. For example, drawing is never given as much importance as mathematics or science is given. Whereas I think all subjects should be treated equally and in a balanced way, and should be given priority with specific children and their needs for learning. But it's a big challenge, so it's easier said than done. There are methods in which this can be done. Some modern schools have been doing it very well, but as I am a development worker, I've read and used Gandhi's theories a lot. And Gandhi had given this Nayi Talim theory way back in 1937, which attempts to deal with this balanced thing. It offers the students the required knowledge of subjects, along with dignity of labor, significance of work, self-reliance, facing adversities, doing their work in their own way, connecting with the society, so the social quotient also is taken care of, etc. There are not many things which could be said for Nayi Talim. Nayi Talim also, in the very second breath, let me tell you that it also did not succeed as much as it should have been. But there are many reasons. We are not here to discuss that. But so all I want to say is that there are answers available with us, but we are not looking into them, and we have not tried to adapt them to the needs of the modern society. I still have a lot of faith in the Nayi Talim type of education. You call it as Nayi Talim, you call it by any other English name or Western name, but the ideas to be borrowed from there. And before I end my talk, let me tell you. Let me also again close it with a quote from Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. He very nicely says, upon being asked as to what does he know, he says, I can think, I can wait, I can fast. And these three things, if you can do, you can very well succeed in your life, because thinking has to do with your IQ, fasting has to do with your AQ, and waiting has to do with your SQ, the spiritual quotient and the social quotient. So I think in a very brief time, I've tried to connect this 4 Qs, and a lot of things could have been said, but I think hopefully questions would come and we would have opportunities to respond to them in different ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Talking of SQ, I'm so happy you touched on, there's some background noise, so somebody could please mute yourself as required. Okay, so I was saying I'm so happy you touched on the SQ part of it also, Rajesh. I mean, in SQ, the spiritual part of it also, because the social quotient, yes, but I think more and more the rest of the world is waking up to the fact that we need something to calm ourselves. And those of us who are who are Indians, who live in India, who are proud of our culture, our history, our past, etc. I think all of us are looking to yoga and meditation as one of the two, as probably the two important ways in which we could. Because this SQ, the social quotient, has to be linked with, I think, also the spiritual quotient, that there is a power beyond us. I think in moments of trouble, maybe it gives you a little strength. You don't have to believe in a God. You just believe in something that is beyond us. So I think the spiritual part of it also becomes important. Now, what we can do over the next maybe 5 minutes is the panelists. I would request you to ask questions of each other. So if there is something with which you have agreed or disagreed, or you want to corroborate what has been said by giving an example from your own experience, maybe we could spend about 5 minutes talking about it. One of our great men had said, my life is my message, right? When somebody said, what is your message to mankind? He said, my life is my message. And I think these cues, except the IQ probably was partially genetic, I think is my life is my message. So if I show in the groups in which I interact, to my family, my professional, I'm in education, so I'm constantly interacting with the youth. As many of you are doing, you are interacting with younger children. I think if we can spread this, especially the AQ part of it, I think it's very, very important. So I would request the panelists to raise issues to discuss. We can spend about 5 minutes doing that before we move on to questions from our viewers. Anyone? Will our tech host and co-host please unmute, mute as and when required? Nainaben, I think you want to say something? Would you like to begin the discussion? No? Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think what I would also like to, I think it was very beautiful. Was very touched by the sharings of all the panelists, and it really evoked a lot of emotions in there, and memories into my own world of what are the examples that I can share, okay, with this group. Like for example, I am really very, very, very right now in a double bind of how do I really address the fear of corona right now for myself, because I am a patient of a particular disease. I am of a particular age. I am of a particular, age group. So every time this thing around corona comes up, do I have to be scared, or do I have to really not be scared? I think that is a great challenge to me. I can see for myself. Okay, and my fear, like for example, going to a parlor, going to a doctor. How much am I scared of? How much can I really say, rationalize or build my own capacities? Okay, to really deal with my fears. I think AQ is also about how do you deal with our own fears. And I can relate to so many of those fears right now occurring in my life because of corona. I'm locked up. I can't talk to people. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't go to a doctor. I can't go to a parlor. I can't eat the right food. I can't have a maid at home. I have to clean up I have to do all the cooking and cleaning. So lots of difficult times are, happening. But my greatest challenge to myself is, how do I, in spite of all this, how do I build my own capacities, my own capabilities, that I don't buckle down, that I still am surviving, I'm living. I'm able to talk to you people and share with you people my stories of life, okay, with so much of resilience, so much of faith. Because AQ is also all about resilience. It's also all about control. How much of control do I have over my situation? How much of ownership do I have over my situation? How much of so all these things also are some of the things which also help me in dealing with the situations in my life and deal with the fears. I think mainly right now all of us are grappling with lot of fears, and how do we really encounter and deal with these fears in different ways.
Thank you.
For ourselves.
Yeah, thank you, Nainaben. Thank you, Nainaben. I think you've spoken for all of us. Different ages, different kinds of troubles, but yes, we are all going through that. And I think the important word is resilience. Siddharth would like to say something. Yes, Siddharth, please.
Ma'am, we can talk about all the cues and like how important they are. But in today's competitive world, like when a child is growing up, a stress will be given on intelligence quotient, because that is not the measure of success, but that's perceived to be leading up to success maybe. So like today we can sit and we can talk about everything like emotional quotient and everything, but for a child, when a child is growing up, I don't think we provide children with that environment to build those characters maybe, and only stress upon the competitive and competition around us.
I just want to ask you, Siddharth, that what you're saying is true. But remember, IQ is not a test of my intelligence, is not a test of my knowledge. It's a test of my ability to deal with knowledge, yeah, or the use of knowledge. I'm asking you, you're 2 generations younger to me probably. In that competitive world, would you say that if I have my EQ and SQ in place without knowing it, I'm a child, I'm probably 15, so I don't know all that, but if I'm emotionally balanced, when I enter that interview room, or I sit for a CAT exam or a NIT exam or whatever exam, do you think that helps me tackle that situation better? Unknowingly, unconsciously, involuntarily? Do you think so?
It definitely does, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I guess that is why we need to probably. Yeah, please go ahead.
It is like, we obviously need to do it, but like our parents, not today's parents, maybe a lot of them, but in my parents or parents of the older generation, they wouldn't have stressed on the other quotients.
Yes. And that is why we are learning. That's why, a webinar like this is to make us aware that there are other things beyond IQ also, Otherwise, every child will do only engineering or medicine, because that is a test of your IQ. Yeah. Thank you, Siddharth. I think Sudeshna is raising her hand, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Sudeshna.
No, actually, Sonal Ben had something to say. But before Sonal Ben starts, I just want to validate what Naina Ben has said. She was speaking about her AQ. What I could relate was that her EQ is very high. For example, a person with high EQ is able to express his or her feelings very clearly, directly, and they do not disguise the thoughts. They are very direct. They are able to communicate what they are feeling right now. They would not blame. They will take responsibility of their feelings. Siddharth, for our children, this is what we need to introduce at a very early age. IQ is genetic. It is almost more or less fixed. EQ can be introduced at any level. And as I told you, I was introduced to it literally at a young age. But I understood it to translate it into my action at a middle age. So EQ you can improve at any point of time, because a person who is having a high EQ is able to develop his AQ also. So these are linked, as Rajesh Bhai was saying. So yes, Sonal Ben wanted to share something. She was raising her hand.
Sonal Ben?
Yeah. આપણે જે એસક્યુની વાત કરીએ કે social quotient, social intelligence, this also relates to something that Siddharth raised. I see so many times these days that when guests are going to come, some all the parents, most of the parents, they either give iPads to their children or they tell them to retire in the room. રૂમમાં જાઓ, ભણવા બેસો, આજે તો મહેમાન આવવાના છે એટલે ઘરમાં ધમાલ થશે. બીજો એની સામે બીજો એક એક્ઝામ્પલ છે કે I was in USA last year અને મારા મામા એમને પૂછ્યું કે would you like to come to temple with me? I said okay, it was nearby. We were just going and he took his grandchild with him. So I just asked, I mean, let him play here, why he is required. So he said કે નહીં, ટેમ્પલમાં એટલા બધા લોકો આવે છે તો એને બોલતા આવડી જાય છે જલ્દી, એ ત્યાં બોલતા શીખી જાય છે, બાકી અહીંયા ઘરમાં કોઈ હોતું જ નથી. એટલે ટેમ્પલમાં જાય તો કોઈ ગરડાઓને એ હાથ પકડીને સ્ટેપ્સ ચડાવે છે, એ હાથ ઘણી વખત એમની જોડે એમને કહે છે કે મને ઉંચકી લો ને મને ઘંટ મરાવડાવો. એટલે what we are doing in India is we are taking our children away from elders. ઘરના મોટાઓ જોડે, સર્વન્ટ્સ જોડે બાળકોને વાત નથી કરવા દેતા ઘણા ઘરોમાં કે દાદી એમના રૂમમાં છે ત્યારે જવાની જરૂર નથી. So I mean, be open to relationships. I think SQ વધારી શકાય છે, એવું નથી કે જન્મજાત હોય છે. IQ જન્મજાત હોય છે, પણ SQ અને EQ માટે તમે ઘણું બધું કરી શકો છો તમારા બાળકો સાથે. Thank you.
Yeah. I think life teaches us, and it's important for us to learn. Rajesh bhai would like to say something. Yeah, Rajesh bhai.
Hello.
Rajesh bhai. Yeah.
સોનલબેને જે કહ્યું એના ટેકામાં જ હું એક વાત કહેવા માંગુ છું કે આમ તો ઘણા બધા લોકો, ઘણા વાલીઓ એવું માને છે કે સ્કૂલો બધી નકામી છે અને આપણું શિક્ષણ તંત્ર બગડેલું છે વગેરે વગેરે, પણ છતાંય દરેક બાળકને સ્કૂલમાં મૂકવામાં એટલે માટે આવે છે કે સ્કૂલમાં જવું એટલે બીજા બાળકો સાથે રહેવું, એની સાથે એકોમોડેટ થતા શીખવું, એની સાથે હળતા મળતા શીખવું, વાત કરતા શીખવું, ઝઘડવું, ઝઘડામાં જીત કેમ લેવી, હાર કેમ લેવી, એ બંનેની શીખ ત્યાંથી મળે છે. માટે મેં જૂજ દાખલાઓ એવા જોયા છે કે જેમાં મારા જ મિત્રો છે 2-3 કે જે લોકોએ પોતાના બાળકોને ઘરે ભણાવ્યા છે, પણ એમાં એમણે કોઈ મોટો વાઘ માર્યો નથી, કારણ કે એમનો SQ તમે જુઓ તો ખરેખર, નામ આપીને તો કહેવાય નહીં, પણ મેં તો એમને વ્યક્તિગત રીતે ઓળખું છું અને એમનો SQ ખરેખર લો મેં જોયો છે. એટલે IQ ની સાથે સાથે સ્કૂલો આપણને SQ પણ શીખવાડે છે અને AQ પણ શીખવાડે છે, કારણ કે ઝઘડા થાય એટલે કેવી રીતે એડવર્સિટીને ફેસ કરવી એ શાળામાંથી પાઠ મળે છે.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Rajesh bhai. I think Naina Ben, your hand went up.
Yes, sir. I think I just want to add to Rajesh bhai's sharing. Okay, I think also it is important how do we define success and failure in life. I think because these definitions govern all that we are doing. So what is my definition of success and what is my definition of failure? Because that will really pull me towards a particular world or a particular orientation or a particular capability building. Okay, so if every time I'm feeling that even if I fail in 2 little small things, and I feel, how terrible, how will I cope, what will I do? I will die without. So even people committing suicides, okay, just because they feel less successful or like failures, they want to die. Okay, so also one of the very important things in all of this IQ, EQ, AQ, SQ, everything is also our own definitions of success and failure. And if we are able to define, okay, what is the meaning of my success and what is the boundary or threshold of my failure? How much is my survival level, and how much is okay, I'm not able to survive this particular trauma or this particular situation, also is one of the indicators of how we grow as human beings in life. I thought I'll just share.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I consider success and what society considers success are probably in conflict very often, right? And therefore, that is where your SQ, right, or your AQ comes into the picture. You know, when that question comes to a parent, child has just finished his 12th, I think that's where the AQ begins for the parent. I agree with you, we'll have to decide on our own. So panelists, can we stop now discussing among ourselves and look at questions that we have from our viewers? I have requested Sudeshna to look at the questions on the chat
Yeah.
box. And she would now raise questions directly addressed to one of us or probably addressed to the panelists as
Yeah.
a group. And we can decide who wants to answer. So
Yeah.
Sudeshna.
So there is one question and two comments. So the
Okay.
first comment is for Beena Rawaniji that you are a great singer. So we
Yeah.
know that. and
Congrats,
you
congrats.
can- and second sharing is from Nita Ben Shah, our VTT member, that for a balanced life, there has to be a balance between EQ, IQ, SQ, and AQ. Coming to the question from Nita Ben again, how do we imbibe all these quotients in our children?
Okay.
So it is not directed to anyone,
Anyone?
but yes, it is for everyone to talk. Who can share?
One of the panelists raise their hand, please, so that they can answer? Okay, Rajesh Bhai and Naina Ben, both of you, 2 minutes each. Please. Gentlemen first, for a change. Rajesh Bhai.
Thank you. No, I think we have to begin with the beginning, start at the very beginning. It starts with the school. I am into education, so I'll go on back again and again to education. Catch them young. We as a society have to change our perception of these IQs, and we will be really a modern society only if we move away from the what should I say, the love for or the deep affection for IQ and move towards the other Qs and look at things in that perspective. As parents also, it is equally important that parents understand the significance of the EQ, SQ, and the AQ. I mean, privileged families think that their children are never going to face AQ because adversities are not going. It is like the famous Gautam Buddha story where the Prince Gautam was not allowed to go out and look at the pains and woes of life. But he once went out and saw an old man, a sick man, and a dead man. And then he realized how different life was. So you can't hide realities from your children. So I think the first step is, the first responsibility starts with the parents, and then the schools. The schools will have to address the different intelligence by giving equal importance to all the subjects. For example, IQ is strengthened by subjects like mathematics, logic, physical sciences, etc. But schools should not overemphasize on these three subjects and also give importance to subjects like literature, poetry, because that develops your EQ. It's not necessary that everybody will become a poet, but everybody will become a sensitive human being if one understands a good poem. And it's not impossible to understand mathematics and poetry both together. Many great men have been good writers as well as good thinkers in mathematics or sciences. So I think it's the responsibility of both the parents, the school, as well as the larger society to change the perception of this intelligence, 4 different intelligence, and gear our systems toward that, because it's all in the hands of the society to do that. We are, I mean, what I see and what I am pained by is that we are blindly mimicking the West and not adopting the requirements of our own country. We have so many different scenarios within the country itself, and therefore we should think originally, introduce innovation in our education system, and accordingly try to deal with the balance of these 4 Qs. Thank you.
Would you like to add? Yeah, Naina, please.
Yeah. Yes, just to add to Rajesh Bhai, what I would like to say is that basically we have to gear towards a holistic development of the child. Okay, that is where we are integrating all the cues. That is where we are encouraging the child to become a good human being, a responsible human being, a resilient human being. Okay, so it's all towards how do we work towards really developing a holistic approach. Okay, when children are growing up at homes, in schools, in their life context. Okay, so that particularly will help develop all the cues in them, and then they can become much more prepared for life ahead. So a holistic approach and a development would be useful for their nurturing.
Perfect, perfect. Very important, very important. So,
Yeah.
Darshana, do we have any other questions?
Yes, Beena Ramani and Sonal Modi also wants to talk, but there are two more questions. Maybe once we hear them, the questions, we can respond to all at a time. Tulika Shah says to all panelists, shouldn't we also learn to accept people who are not having the other intelligences? And Piali Ghosh, she is one of our teachers. She is saying that if someone is lacking AQ, and how will you help to enhance it?
So, Beena Ramani, would you like to answer? Sorry, Rajesh bhai, you raised your hand. Can we take that later? Just Beena Ramani, since you spoke about AQ, and since Nainaben has already answered one of the questions, I'm wondering whether you would like to answer that question. Beena
No,
Ramani?
I was trying to respond to the AQ question.
Okay.
I think there are two ways to deal with it. One is as I quoted the Gautam Buddha story, let our children be exposed to the realities of life. Let them know about poverty. Let them know about how people struggle. Let them know. I'll tell you a small story. When my daughter was very young, she used to use her pencils very carelessly. So once I took her to one of our projects where slum children used to use very small pencils, and she suddenly realized that, oh, these people even fight for such a small pencil, and I throw away my big pencils. And that day on, believe me, she changed her practices and her thoughts. So this is a small narration, but to deal with AQ, I think theoretically you can have encouragement, more and more encouragement to subjects like sports, outdoor activities, adventure sports at a later stage, at an advanced stage, and discussions on the realities of life. Don't hide things from children. They must be exposed to all the adversities, and then how to deal with them, have elocution competitions on that, discussions on that. That's the way to deal with AQ. Very briefly. Yeah.
Rajesh bhai, but you know, when you're talking about AQ, it's not only about children. I mean, look at somebody of my age. I'm nearing 70. For the last 60 years, or at least 50 years, I've never even washed a spoon because I took my servants for granted, right? And suddenly for 2.5 months, you didn't have a servant, right? Because you didn't want them to come in, and there was lockdown, and so you were strict about that. You're worried about your health or whatever. Now at that stage, I think the AQ comes into the picture, whatever age you may be in, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I think AQ is also about developing that inner strength, where it will come from, how it will come from. You know, for somebody, it might come from reading a motivational book, for somebody listening to a lecture, for somebody reading the Gitas or doing shlokas. Remember, you can't even go to the temple because it's shut. For somebody, you know, so for each one of us, that decision has to come in, that I have to face whatever comes to me. I think to me, when I was in my 50s, 2001, all of us present here know what I'm talking about. We never imagined that such a thing would happen. 2001, January 26th, 8/28, I can't forget it. How all of us were just thrown off. And what Nainaben was talking about her fears now, we had the same fears then, Nainaben, if you remember. We used to keep a glass of water on the table and see if it was shaking, you know. And we told our neighbors, you ring the bell if you feel the aftershock, I feel the aftershock. But we need to develop that inner strength, Rajesh bhai, in us. in us as adults before we can, because if my child sees I'm always scared, the child is bound to be scared, right? So I think it is in a way, it's very difficult to define that these are the steps. But I agree with you that our children should be exposed to the less fortunate so that we know that there are people who don't have what we take for granted. Yeah. So Sudeshna, there was one
Yes.
more question.
There are two more questions.
And so
one,
we are at 5 o'clock. How much more time do we have?
I'll just take
Okay.
last two more questions.
Okay.
We have already run out of time.
Okay.
Sheetal Desai ji is asking that, do schools give importance to all these cues? Where and how children will learn? This is the first question. Let me also give the second question, and Indira ji, you may be the best person to answer this.
Okay.
How do we help children who are being bullied?
Oh, how did that come into the picture now? Okay, fine. So let's take both of them. Are schools giving importance? As Rajesh bhai pointed out, we can't always put everything on the school. You know, he began by talking about the family and then moved on to the school. What schools could do. So I think these 4 intelligences are not that like a timetable that 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. the school in, you know, these cues will be. So I think it is the responsibility of society as a whole. So when I say society, it would be the family, it would be the peers, it would be the relatives, it would be the colony in which you live, people you interact with. I think all the 4 cues have to come in. Are schools giving importance to it? When I answer the second question, maybe that will come in the emotional part of it. Am I looking at people who have less than me? It could be somebody who is darker than me, who is fatter than me, who's less intelligent than me, who has less money than me. It could be any of these, right? So am I able to empathize with them? I think school uniform, for example, is a very big leveler. I don't know why in the US, for example, or in the UK, I think, they don't have school uniforms because they say social differences will become obvious. So I've not been able to understand that in spite of, you know, all my exposure. So in India, we're doing that to have that leveler. So to answer that question, maybe schools can do it in that indirect way. But I think we as family will have to do it in a much. If the mother is highly critical of somebody who stammers or who doesn't have a good job or who is inefficient, right? The mother is showing the child that she doesn't have enough EQ or SQ for that matter, right? So I think it's not just the school. I think all of us need to do that together. I don't know if I've answered your question, but the second question is about being bullied. Bullied, yes, it shows that you don't have empathy. Who bullies? Somebody who thinks he's greater or somebody who lacks self-esteem is the bully usually. And bullying is not only among school children, it can be at all levels. It's in college, it's at workplace, I believe. So Dark may throw some light on what kind of bullying we have in government organizations, right? So we have bullying at all stages. What do you need to do? I think we need to tackle both the victim and the bully. I think we have to look at both of them.
Yeah.
And as in a school or in Visamo, for example, where you're dealing with a number of children, or maybe when Rajesh bhai goes to a village and interacts with those kids, I think all of us have to constantly develop in the child, help the child develop the ability to empathize with people who are not as lucky as us. Because I can be bullied for being dark, I can be bullied for being fat, I can be bullied for being thin. You know, if I'm bullied for being fat, I can be bullied for being thin. So there's really no reason. The bully wants to make a point. Kahin to hero banna hai. You know, it's that kind of a thing. So I very often feel the bully needs more help than the victim. You know, though of course the pain, the hurt of being bullied can last an entire lifetime. But I think that's going beyond the cues, Sudeshna. So can I say thank you to all the panelists? Can I have the last word? And say thank you very much. I think it's been a very, very good discussion. All of us with our varied life experiences and varied ages from probably the 30s to the 60s, we've brought, I think, a plethora of ideas. So I hope our listeners, not only our listeners, we ourselves will go back and think about these 4, think about which area we need to probably improve in ourselves and in our family, in our children, in the people around us, so that we can say that we are holistically good human beings. Thank you very much. I must thank Visamo Kids for this entire opportunity. And just for the viewers, on a last point, two groups are here together. We have what is called the Visamo Task Group. We are an advisory body of which some of us are members. And we also have something which is called the mentorship program, where we have our mentors. So here we have both the advisors and the mentors. And we are hoping that with our knowledge of all the 4 Qs, we are doing the best for the kids with whom we interact. Thank you very much, Visamo Kids. And thank you, panelists, and thank you, listeners and viewers, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
Yali ho.
Yali ho. Yali ho. Thank you.
Thank you.